gap in our knowledge was, well, how can you use fire to manipulate prairie dogs? Everyone's asking, how can you manipulate prairie dog populations? What's a cheap way to manipulate prairie dog populations? People knew that prairie dogs favored short grasses because they need to be vigilant against predators, but they weren't sure, how to translate that knowledge into, well, how can we do that? I started this study in '97, and the prairie dogs started moving in shortly, like after a drought hit. I forgot the year that drought hit. So there were no prairie dogs. It was green. There were no prairie dogs, and then a drought hit. And I started noticing in my notes while I'm walking around measuring everything else, hey, there are prairie dogs on these plots. And then I started noting on my plots which prairie dogs are on my plots, every year. And then I realized, oh my gosh, they are, I'm not saying invading because they're not invasive, but they're making themselves at home. And then I noticed that, oh, it's along these, then I started doing some calculations. And it's like I realized they're invading along the burn experiments. And so that's how that happened. So this has actually been going on for a while now. The question was, what's the best time to burn, growing season or the dormant season? What has the least impact on the environment, or the most impact? What's most beneficial? And we found out that if you burn during the dormant season, that in fact you lose less cover than you would if you burn during the growing season. But because in growing season, you actually lose more grass cover because you're harming the plant as it's growing. I'm calculating the number of plots, number of burrows per plot, because we have the plot size. It's like 2 hectares each, and it's all, when you do experiments, everything must be as homogeneous as possible, and then you randomly apply the treatments, and so you have a treatment area, and then you can see, how many burrows per plot, and that's what you would analyze.
Let's take a closer look at Dr. Ford's research. First, she carefully divided the area around a prairie dog burrow into smaller portions. She noted the current prairie dog population marked with a purple line. Next, she randomly applied treatments to each of those smaller portions. Some remained dormant, while others were allowed to grow over different and various periods of time. And yet others remained a control group, receiving no treatment at all. By using different colors to represent each of the different types of treatment, Dr. Ford can more easily see how the prairie dog population changed over time. In this figure, you can easily see how the original prairie dog population, marked with the yellow line, has changed over time into the green line and then the red line. You can also see how the colony has expanded into some areas, like plot 21 and 11. Dr. Ford can now go back and identify under what conditions the colony was expanding and under what conditions it was not.
What I generally do is I talk about short-term research results and long-term research results, because they might change. And for me, as a landscape or an ecologist who's outside, I generally need at least 3 years worth of data because climate conditions change. So, and so the first year I might send something, oh, this is really a cool response. Let's see if it happens again. Is it an anomaly, or is it consistently happening across time? And then I would have a more solid answer to my research question. The secret to that would be a long-term data set, because oftentimes you can say preliminary analysis showed this, but did it persist? And so is it worth you doing that as a management strategy if it's not going to persist, if it's not going to help the species or whatever you're trying to do in the long term? So it goes back to the management question. Can I use fire to help establish the prairie dog colonies? Well, yes, but will they stay? Maybe not. So you need to wait and see, so you need time. I think persistence over the time of the treatment is what will tell you if it works or not.